Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Inventory Genius podcast. I'm your host, Ciara, and we have been moving through some of the chapters in my new book, Business Genius. Do you struggle with direct communication? My guess is that the majority of you will say yes, because none of us love to be uncomfortable. Really, that's the root of why we don't want to communicate directly. So, when there's problems to solve, things to address, issues to work through, we tend to push those things off and not tackle them head on. We tend to push the direct communication to the side and just beat around the bush with people if we even discuss anything at all. Well, today in our chapter 7, we're going to be walking through direct communication and why to become a true business genius, direct communication is absolutely something you need to tackle and master. Business Genius, Chapter 7, Direct Communication. People pleasing is not a skill, and it's actually not a good thing. I was sitting in my therapist's office and proudly proclaimed, I am a people pleaser. She stood up and walked over to the whiteboard. People pleasing is not a good attribute, Ciara. In fact, people pleasing is selfish. It essentially means that you would rather be comfortable than hold anyone, including yourself, accountable. I sat there stunned, mouth agape. I assume I didn't have a mirror, but I believe that I was. I thought I was the good one. I wanted everyone to get along. I wanted peace. I wanted quiet. I wanted people to like me. And that was the key. I wanted people to like me. Business owners must be leaders. Leaders have to do tough things, have tough conversations, and make decisions that might not please everyone. And that's okay. That's part of leading. So if you have a mind to skip over this section on direct communication because you just can't be direct, because you're a people pleaser and direct just isn't how you think, act, do, talk, speak, decide, I beg you to hang in there with me on this one. This time, I want to tell you a story about myself and an employee named Tabitha. Now, I've actually never had an employee named Tabitha. In fact, I don't even know anyone named Tabitha. But for sake of privacy, I will write this very real story about myself while substituting a very fake name of the former employee involved. Good? Good. So, Tabitha. She sailed right through the interviews. She came with some operational background, and I was a growing business. I was certain I needed a director level position filled, and so I hired Tabitha. Yeah, I like just, saying that name. Anyway, she was truly skilled. She always showed up on time. She had great organizational skills. She could manage other team members. But the problem with Tabitha, she didn't play well with others. Other leaders, that is. Now, she did great with subordinates, but when it came to her peers, she was rude, unaccommodating, and manipulative. The thing is, I never personally saw it. Oh, sure, there were some gut check moments here and there, some statements, some looks, those moments when you message or you massage a conversation because it feels like maybe you're walking on eggshells, but nothing overt. However, my other leaders told me there were issues. One in particular spoke up to me on several occasions, letting me know that when I wasn't present, Tabitha was a beast. She was hard to work with, she was two-faced, unkind, and very domineering. But I don't see it, I would always say. And although this was somewhat true, the truth of the matter is I didn't want to see it because I didn't want confrontation. I wanted her to like me. I wanted everyone to like me. I wanted peace. I didn't want to be forced to have direct communication. So I kept letting her behavior slide until that smelly, rotten potato at the bottom of the barrel began to affect the entire bin of potatoes. Think about the experiences that you've had with rotten potatoes. Like when you walk into the pantry and every once in a while you get a little whiff of something that doesn't smell quite right. Day after day, you sort of smell it until one day you really smell it. And by then, it's disgusting. Oozing and slimy, you pull that potato out and throw it away. And you see what so many others have been ruined as well. A pound of potatoes in the garbage just because of one small rotten potato that you didn't take care of. That's what happened in my business. People started leaving. Some employees started really showing attitudes. My people pleasing was selfish, and it cost me good people, respect, and peace. Direct communication, in other words, hitting a problem head on, speaking up, speaking truth in love, holding people accountable. It's not a luxury we get to buy into or to bypass, depending on our preference. It's a necessity if we truly want to achieve business genius status. You can know the numbers, have a great product, manage your time, but if you cannot communicate directly and honestly, even the foundation will crumble around you. So, as you think about that this week, I want you to think about what rotten potato you've been getting a small whiff of every so often in your business. What is it that gives you that gut check every once in a while? You think this doesn't feel quite right, or I thought I told her to do that, or did I really just see her roll her eyes at me? And I want you to challenge yourself to deal with that rotten potato while you still have the chance to clean it up and salvage the relationship, or salvage the relationship within your team or within your customers. I don't have this in my book, this story, but I want to give a brief story about a client I worked with a really long time ago. She had a store, it was a brick and mortar store, and her sales continued to decline. We had started working together because we really wanted to get in and tackle her debt. And so I put together a plan to pay off the debt. And part of this plan was she had to hold steady with her sales, and then we would start to increase her sales by doing the typical things I work with in, with owners, increasing average ticket, looking at conversion rates and other KPIs. So we had the plan in place. She was super excited. We started to dig in. Week after week, when we'd get on our call, she would talk to me about two things. Number one, she couldn't get her sales up. In fact, she was starting to see more and more of a decline in sales, even though she was doing all the things from the outside looking in that should be right when it came to sales increases. And the next thing she talked about was the fact that she had a couple employees who had really rotten attitudes. They would sit on their phone. She would watch them on the camera and they wouldn't be helping customers. Maybe they'd say hi, but they wouldn't put them in a fitting room. All the things that we need when we have customer service based businesses. And every week I would challenge her. Let's look at the KPIs. Let's focus on the sales. Let's focus on the metrics. And have you had a conversation with those employees? Have you shared with them your expectations? Have you set consequences in place if those expectations are not met? And week after week, she'd put it off. She'd push it off. And here's what happened. Her sales kept declining and declining and declining while those toxic rotten potatoes stayed in her business and managed the conversations between her customers and the brand. At one point, I said, here's the thing. What you're seeing today in your decrease in sales didn't start yesterday, last week, or even last month. It started months and months ago when you wouldn't be willing to have direct communication with those people that work for you to tell them this is how the brand standard looks. This is what's required of you in this position. I'm here to help you achieve that. But if you don't, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You weren't willing to have that conversation. And so in the case of this business with this old client that I had, not only did her sales decrease, but her business started to really suffer. The rotten potatoes that affected the entire bin of potatoes was the fact that her employees were having such a negative impact on the perception her brand had with her customers that the customers in the community started leaving, telling others not to shop in her store. The ripple effect was profound. Because she wouldn't have direct communication, she ended up, in the end, losing her business. This is a true story. She lost her business. People pleasing, wanting people to love you, wanting everything to feel peaceful and calm, not being willing to have direct communication. There's a cost to that, you guys. There's a profound cost. And yes, while it's very uncomfortable to have the direct communication in the moment, the return on that investment from that time you put into that direct communication will pay back tenfold in being able to keep your business moving and healthy and aligned with your values. So just like I ended up losing really good people to that one rotten potato, So many business owners invest so much of their time, energy, and money into their business and then won't have the direct communication and tackle the problems head on because it feels uncomfortable. But what's more uncomfortable is losing it all. And in the end, that will be the price that you pay. So, if you hadn't had a chance yet to grab my book, Business Genius, I would encourage you to grab a copy. You can get it on Amazon or at my bookstore, ciarastockeland.com. And if you would love to work with me, as I would love to work with you, please reach out, ciarastockeland.com. I would love to invite you to the Inventory Genius Mastermind, where we can work on not only the numbers and the foundation around all of the financial clarity that you're looking for, but we can really truly work to create a business genius mindset in you. And I can't wait to get started. All right, we'll see you all next week. Bye for now.